Borough President Reynoso, great to have you here.
Always happy to be here.
Let me ask you this first and foremost, right? Other borough presidents, you have the Reverend Al Sharpton, you have the governor, attorney general saying, the public advocate saying, let the process play out, due process. Why call for him to resign?
Well, I think everyone has different reasons as to why they want to hold back or ask for resignation. For Donovan Richards, he would actually be a member of a small 4-team board that would be able to have him leave if they chose.
Just to be clear, it's called the Mayor's Inability Committee.
Exactly.
He's part of it as the longest tenured borough president, and he would vote on that.
So I understand him holding back. The public advocate would assume that position. Also, someone that won't say whether he wants the mayor to resign. I think with Al Sharpton, I think most of his statement was actually very sound and solid. I think the one part is that he compared the mayor's situation to Menendez, and that they allowed his time to run out. I would say that he's not an executive. A senator is a legislator. They're not running a day-to-day operation of the largest city in the world. So I just think the circumstances by which Menendez eventually left are different than what the mayor is going through. And again, I want to be clear, this presumption of innocence, it's just something we all want to see play out. But this city, we've seen a lot of deputy mayors, we've seen commissioners leaving, we've seen other members are currently under investigation or at least have had their phones seized. How do you run a city when 10%, 20% of your leadership is ensnarled in this indictment?
Yeah. Do you feel that the mayor is too much of a distraction then?
Less of a distraction. The distractions bother me less. I just want to see the trash picked up. I want to make sure my kids are going to school and everything is fine. Just the basic operations that they're still happening. And when you see high-level folks being replaced by new people in a short amount of time, there's just no transition. There's no real conversations happening. So it's just a general function of the city to operate the way it's supposed to. And I've also had my issues with how the city was operating in general. Right. So it already was a concern, and now I just see it being too much of a pull on the mayor to defend himself and run the city.
So you don't think he can do the job?
Yeah. I want to talk about the specifics of the indictment, right? It alleged a relationship between the mayor and the country of Turkey and favors and bribes and so on and so forth. That began when he was borough president of Brooklyn. You are the borough president of Brooklyn, right? Yeah. Can you talk about, because it was rumored that you were contacted by Turkish officials and wanting to be given gifts. Can you talk about that? Did it happen?
It did. When I first met Turkey, which I've met many different countries or delegates from different countries, they come and they want to make sure we celebrate their people. But in that conversation with Turkey, they invited me out to Turkey. I said I would go on vacation and see if I bump into them and give them a call. They said, no, we can take care of everything. And it's just not something. I know, being in the city council, how complicated it is to travel internationally and have COIB, or the Conflict of Interest Board, go through a ton of work to make sure that that's done the right way. So
they offered to pay for your trip?
They offered, yes. They said that they would take care of it.
Wow.
And then the second one was I got gifted 8 tea sets, elaborate porcelain gold-plated tea sets. And they said for you and your staff. Obviously, my general counsel took that and returned it to the consulate. But those are just things that a consulate should know they shouldn't be doing with elected officials here in New York. And they weren't privy to that information because they tried to give me those gifts.
Did you disclose that information to prosecutors?
Well, yes, we have everything we have. We've given to if the FBI asks for it, we give it to them. But we have also documentation and just a track record on how we handled those situations. At that point, we didn't know there was any of this stuff happening, but it was an unusual visit is what I call it.
Did they make you aware of what they had given to the mayor?
They had mentioned that the mayor's traveled to Turkey before, and that they said, we want you to travel as well. That there was Istanbul is the Brooklyn of New York City and so forth.
But did you ever feel like during those conversations with the tea sets and those things, that it was to curry a favor as Brooklyn Borough President? Because for those who don't know, the Brooklyn Borough President can greenlight projects that take place, right? So did you ever feel, or looking back on it, say, well, maybe they wanted to curry favors?
I think looking back, I definitely thought it was an intro into building a good relationship with me through gifts and so forth. While I was there, I just thought they were ignorant to the process, or they just didn't know. It's like, you can't do this. This is not the way we do things. Now, looking at everything, they knew very well what they can or can't do, but it seems like the mayor's office gave them an opportunity in the past, and they try to take that with me as well. It's just we didn't get hooked.
Yeah. Well, right now, Governor Kathy Hochul, City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, they've declined to ask for the mayor's resignation. Do you think, though, it's inevitable?
I believe that this mayor is going to be a one-term mayor regardless. I think at this point, the few people outside of his like loyal base that gave him a shot because he talked tough on crime, and that's the one thing that they wanted to deal with. For now, seeing all this happening, I just don't see the numbers necessarily for his success long term. I don't want him to go to jail, right? I want him to be successful. So my thing is never about whether, again, it's his innocence. I hope he proves it, and I hope he's okay. But the turmoil that's happening in the city, the crisis, we just layering crisis on top of crisis in the city, I think we're all over it. Mm-hmm. We don't want to talk about immigration and not being able to handle it. We don't want to talk about crime and not being able to handle it. We want a new day when we have a mayor that is not in crisis mode all the time.
We're out of time here, but I want to ask you, because you have said that you were not interested in running for mayor, that you were interested in staying as Brooklyn Borough President. Obviously, a lot has changed. There's going to potentially be a special election, right? And then, of course, if that doesn't happen, there's the primary next year. Have you changed your mind if there is a special election of jumping in?
No, I have not. I believe that Jumaane Williams is the next person up for public advocate, and I think he's going to do a great job, if need be, to be the interim mayor. And thereafter, we'll have discussions, but I'm not interested in running for mayor for this term.
Understood.
Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, thanks for your time, and we're hoping that Brooklyn will be celebrating a WNBA victory very soon with the Liberty.
We will. No worries.